How's it going on?
Hey, that's what I said when I saw it. Your mark is on your platform.
Good evening. Happy New Year. Kick off our first meeting of the year, or the first board meeting of the year, Monday, January 9th. A little different. Tonight, we'll be starting off with a closed session, but we'll kind of get things started here first. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Griffin, would you join us?
Stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Lauren, would you do the roll call, please?
President Boyd,
Here.
President Kaczynski,
Here.
Director Griffin,
Here.
Director Rotora,
Here.
Director I'm on. Sorry.
Present.
You over there. Easy for her to say.
Lauren assures us that she is just fine, but she did, on her way to work, lose her voice. She's looking for it, and maybe by the next meeting, she'll have found it. So, thanks for coming in anyway. Ask for the posting of the agenda declaration, please.
The agenda for tonight's regular board meeting was posted on Thursday, January 5th, 2023.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm going to stop asking you questions so you can take a break. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Director Griffin?
No.
Vice President
None.
Kaczynski? Director Rotora?
None.
Director Sainamore?
I have no conflicts of interest, Mr. President, but that being said, I must inform you and whomever might be listening that I am an employee of the federal government. However, my opinions that I might state tonight are mine and mine alone and do not necessarily reflect those of my employer or, for that matter, the rest of the board of directors.
Thanks for that. Okay, at this point, I'm going to recommend we go to closed session at 4:32. We'll re-meet there in just a few minutes. How much time do we need?
As long as it takes you to walk back there.
How about we meet there in about 3 minutes then? We do. And it's the same as this one. Is it? Okay, 6 o'clock. Happy New Year, folks. First board meeting of the calendar year 2023. We conducted our closed session at 4:30 today, so we need to come out of that. We came out. Yeah, Jim will have something to say about that.
5:36.
5:36, thank you. And would you have?
Yeah, with respect to that, there was no action taken that requires disclosure under Brown Act with respect to the closed session items on tonight's agenda. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. For those who were not here, we chose to go through the Pledge of Allegiance, conflict of declarations, or conflict of interest declarations. So we'll start off on item 6, public questions and comments. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda and over which the board has jurisdiction. However, no action may be taken by the board of directors on any item not appearing on the agenda. Non-agenda speakers are asked to limit their presentations to 5 minutes. Public questions and comments on items listed on the agenda will be accepted at any time the item is brought forth for consideration by the board. When you're recognized by the chairperson, please state your name and address for the record. Do we have any public comments? Please.
Judy Decker. Well, this does cover one of the things on your agenda. I'll bring it up under the issue of communication. You people have a serious problem, and the problem is communication and incorrect communication regarding your groundwater adjudication lawsuit. We had the occasion to go to a get-together New Year's Eve on North Brown Road. Virtually all of the people there were well owners, either individual well owners belonging to a co-op or mutual. None of them were farmers or commercial well users. The amount of misinformation passed around was terrible. People are confusing the water district and the groundwater authority. They do not understand either intentionally or unintentionally why the water district is involved in their land so far away from the water district boundaries. I am afraid that you are going to not have the response that you want to have regarding answers and comments in responses to the court. And I bring it up now instead of later on because I have all of your attention. And I'm bringing it up because it's really serious. And there are people there who have lived there a long time, who are spouting off misinformation, and other people are believing them. And I'm offering this to you. I can't even begin to tell you how you're going to deal with it because I don't know. But, Don can back me up here. We tried. We weren't listened to. There are a lot of new people, apparently, in the valley who have purchasing homes out in the country. Many of them are not even Californians. They don't know the water issues here, but they think they do. And these people that they listen to who are spouting the misinformation are actually dangerous. They're dangerous to themselves, they're dangerous to these new people, and they're dangerous to the process of adjudication. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then I have a question. I believe at or it's my understanding anyway, that I remember at the last meeting or the meeting before, Jim, you said that another letter would be sent out to the property owners who hadn't responded. Is that correct?
I did not say a letter, a mailer, and actually, there's the comprehensive adjudication, and as part of my presentation on where we
Okay.
are, I'm gonna give a summary of what's going on right now, trying to notify everybody about the issues that you've been addressing and about getting involved with the lawsuit. So I may answer your questions here in about, 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Are there any other comments from the public?
I'll be speaking to what you're receiving here in just a minute. It's no hurry to start
Introduce
trying to
yourself, please.
digest that. My name's Mike Neal. I want to bring up again what I brought up previously. I think has merit to be pursued, and that is to push on the GA or possibly the water district, take it up themselves and do an estimation of how many acre feet of water per year could conceivably be saved by eliminating, most of the residential grass lawn areas. I think it could be significant, and I don't recall any kind of estimate of that ever being brought forward whatsoever. I don't think it's a hard task. Just needs to be done. So, people could be more motivated, possibly, to actually go ahead and get rid of the grass in whatever fashion they choose, and not, eliminate the use of that water. Now, I brought this up before, and I've got the printout of the spreadsheet that I've worked on some, estimating the cost of the GA pipeline. Now, we've had lowball estimates that I've heard from the GA general manager a couple of meetings back, trying to say that, oh, well, it's only cost people $30 a month or something like that. Well, you could calculate it, and I did it on this particular spreadsheet. If you look at the top of the spreadsheet, everything in the gray blocks are numbers that you can put in based on what you think the scenario is going to be. There's both the AVEC project on the left and the LA, dreamed for LADWP connection pipeline on the right. Got the number of households and stuff. Some of these probably need to be corrected, and I would welcome input from the water districts, particularly like how many households are we talking about? My best estimate was 12,500. If that's not right, we can get it right. Some of these are just guesses. The finance rate for the capital project for the pipeline, the cost of water supply, that's been put out by the GA. I think that's fairly fixed in stone. The grant amounts, those totally up in the air, but you can change that on this spreadsheet. You take it off, you can make it whatever you happen to feel like you want to make it. In this case, we followed the GA's claims that they think they're going to get like half the cost. So for the AVEC pipeline, the grant amount's $125 million. The other one, it's a lot less than that. But based on those numbers, you can look down at the bottom in the numbers in red, and we broke it out so people could hopefully understand it better. Sorry. And you got basically the cost for the pipeline, financed over, and this is 30 years. We could also add a block in so people could change it to 10, 30, whatever they want, 0 if they want to. This is 30 years that we used on this. So if you look at the AVEC pipeline, the cost for the pipeline finance of that over 30 years per household is $32 a month. And the O&M cost, annual service cost, which are numbers that it's just what's been thrown out by the GA, okay, but it amounts to $8 million a year. So that gives you that's $54 a month per household just for that. And you're going to have that. You're going to have operations and maintenance, you're going to have service cost, and this is the numbers that we have from the GA. If they're not right, they need to correct them. Well, that's $54. Well, so if we have to do the AVEC pipeline, you're talking to $87. And this is with getting huge grants to help fund the pipeline. $87 a month per household, every household. And it's basically the water district users, because private wells aren't going there. You know, you're going to run the ag guys out of business. They're not going to pay it. So there you have it. I welcome input on this. I'm kind of waiting to tweak it and get it through all the various possible permutations. And then at some point, I'm going to put it out on Facebook. I'm going to advertise it in the newspapers. I'm going to figure out a way to make it easily attainable so that people can get their hands on it. This is something the GA has simply not done. I don't think because they don't think they wanted to go there. They want people to see that, wow, this pipeline project is going to cost me $80 a month extra. You know, that's a lot. It's a way lot for a lot of people. Okay, so your input's appreciated. Distributing it, you know, I may ask for some help with that at some point. I think this is a critical amount of bit of information that people need to be able to see.
I might have a suggestion for you, Mr. Neal, that you put somewhere on the document that you in fact draw many, if not most of your assumptions from GA pronouncements.
Oh,
And identify those.
In fact, since Mr. Decker is here and the TAC put these numbers out in 2019, I would really like to get updated numbers. What we did, since we don't have updated numbers, is put in a guess at inflation since 2019. We put in 25%, which I think is reasonable, but it'd be a lot better if we had some hard numbers from the GA. We could just put them in here. It's a real simple.
Even if you don't have any recent numbers, I think it would be helpful to point out that your assumptions are in fact not, are the GA's releases in the past. That helps people recognize that you've done your research and you're basing your final cost on other people's official announcements.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. And if I can be indulged just a few more minutes. One thing that struck me, I don't know that it's ever been discussed in all these years now, of the recharge of the basin, but the contribution of rainfall. I've never seen that taken into account in the recharge calcs, but I did a really rough, quick calculation just half an hour before I came here to the meeting tonight, and estimated that 1 inch of rainfall across this valley is something like 80,000 acre feet of water. Well, it doesn't disappear after it hits the ground. It goes someplace, and then that's historical. The average precipitation used to be 4 inches a year. Well, that's way more, by orders of magnitude, more than this 8,000, 10,000 acre feet of recharge that we're supposed to get in this basin. Just the rainfall that we get should be far more than enough to supply way, way more water than anybody's ever used in this valley. So if there's a reason that rainfall doesn't contribute, I'd really like to find out why, because I can't, for the life of me, decide that once the rain hits the ground, it doesn't just go on down into the basin. It's been doing it since the dawn of time. So where's our water problem if we just get a little bit of rain?
Just a little clarification on that, Mike, as I understand it, that has been looked at, but there's a dispute about how much of that water actually makes it down in the groundwater table. So there's not one opinion on the item, there's probably multiples.
I'm sure.
But it has been looked at. I don't remember what the GA came up with, but that was part of the historical information that was brought in.
Okay, well, I maybe should have asked the GA guys.
Generally,
They even allow for input from rainfall into the basin, or they're just brushing it aside. But there's a lot of water there.
Right.
If it doesn't make it to the basin, where's it going?
generally speaking, most of it evaporates, and a lot of it's used by the native vegetation to through evapotranspiration. It disappears that way. But if there's extra water in a rain year, we do benefit from that as the water travels down the canyons and enters the aquifer from the sides.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the public? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to item number 7, page 2, making progress. Current business committee reports, consent calendar.
I make a motion to accept the consent calendar as listed.
I'll second it.
Do we call for a vote?
Public comment.
A public comment, yes. Do we have any public comment on consent calendar? Seeing none?
President Boyd,
Yay.
Vice President Kaczynski,
Yes?
Director Griffin,
Yes.
Director Artora,
Yes.
Director
Yes.
Salomon.
We don't want you to talk that much. You're going to lose your voice here.
Hyphen in the middle is going to kill you, so.
We're going to try to figure out how not to make Lauren talk anymore this evening, but thank you for the gallant effort. Item B, 7B, award of contract for the demolition and construction of the concrete structures.
Was that first?
Transmission pipeline, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
no, the pipeline.
Bravo.
I have the wrong-
7 Bravo.
I have the wrong one.
Yeah, an old one.
Your new president is in disarray. Okay, 7B, how about this? Award the contract for emergency northwest transmission pipe repair and approval, notice of exemption.
Correct. Okay, so I believe, Jim, that we need to go through the notice of exemption first, or no? Okay.
No, for a notice of exemption, you do the project first, so you know what you're exempting.
Okay. As you all are aware, we had the leak in the pipeline that runs along Anycon Road, and we've been looking for the best way to, and the quickest way to get that repaired and to the extent of the damage. So we have about 1,800 feet, more or less, of pipeline that needs to be replaced. And we are moving forward with replacing that cement mortar line and coated pipe with HDPE. It will be 30-inch HDPE pipe. We have a quote from WECA, a contractor out of San Bernardino, who can get that job done for us. Probably looking at it being done by, if we get started right away, get things ordered by the end of March. It will take 20 days, working days, to get the pipe installed, and it will take probably 3 to 4 weeks to get the pipe itself. So that cost of taking out, so it's removing the old pipe, installing the new, and it will be a little less than this because part of their estimate was the butterfly valves, which we have purchased ourselves, so they will not be purchasing those. Their cost there was $699,376. We are going to be asking for a not to exceed $800,000 cost because we want to have a contingency in there. There's also some inspection fees by Krieger and Stewart. There's an estimate of that in your board packet of a little over $48,000, $48,600 for construction inspection and reimbursables for them. And that's where we're at. So this is an emergency request so that we can get this pipeline back in service before it gets too warm.
Yeah, I understand the urgency. A couple of questions on the forensics of the damage. So this is a concrete lined steel pipe,
Coated and lined,
and
yes.
the inside was not corroded, but the outside was?
Correct.
And just over this?
We're hoping so. We have Far West Corrosion Control coming out next week, Thursday and Friday, and they're going to be going from Pinto all the way to the Bowman tanks to do some corrosion control testing, and we'll get a report within a couple weeks. And we're hoping, based on what we have done, our investigation from the outside going in, we believe that that is the extent. And that doesn't mean we won't find something else somewhere else, but
So
that
I
is what it
assume
appears to be.
Do they dig up a section of the pipe and just sample?
We did.
Bust through the concrete and look at the steel?
Yes,
and
yes, that's what we did.
Just periodically down the line and?
Yes, we kind of worked our way from the section where we had the break and worked our way to the east and the west.
That's all the coupons I see back there that you've cut
That's
out.
correct, yeah.
Do you have a feel for the cause of the corrosion? I mean, anodes not working or not enough anodes?
There is
or-
no sacrificial anodes on this system. Those are simply there, those test stations are simply there for testing. And so it's obvious that there is a crack in the outside of the coating. When, how that happened, we don't know, whether it could be earthquake related, could have happened even, it's hard to tell, really. But that seems to be what has led to this problem. It's definitely coming from the outside in. So the corrosion is starting from the outside, because the inside, the interior of the pipe looks great. Looks like it was just put in.
What's the total length of the pipeline? 1,800. You're doing 1,800 feet of it, but what's the total length of the
Oh,
pipeline?
gosh, 8 or 9 miles, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in
Yeah.
the recharging that line, it's gonna obviously bring the potential for leaks. Are we putting, do we need a contingency if there's something else that happens, or are you okay with just the 800,000 to get it through?
I think we're okay now. We'll know more here in a few weeks once we get the corrosion control engineers out and take a look.
Okay, and then we're gonna continue to operate it at the low pressure, correct? It's not a high pressure.
It's not a high pressure line, no.
So we should be okay, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully, knock on wood.
Yes.
And we do have plans to have all of our large transmission pipelines test, all the cement mortar line, coated steel lines tested by that corrosion control company.
So when we go to test, we're not going to pump it up to 120 pounds or something and do a normal test like we would when installing a water main? Or, because that would be my fear, if we did the pressure test, it would put too much stress on the pipe. if we're
Only
not gonna
on,
operate it
only on the
completely.
section that we replace.
So we're gonna put in just use valve to valve and test that section.
Right.
Okay,
We won't test up against valves, but yes, it'll be
Yeah,
just that
but-
section.
but, okay.
What happened to lining? You talked about at one point a pipe lining at one.
We
Just not
cannot get that
economical?
done very quickly, Ron. It
Okay.
will take a long time to get that set up, and it's pretty expensive. And they do use the pipe that's there.
Okay.
And they line inside of that. So we feel more comfortable replacing what we know is bad and then doing more of an inspection afterwards. Yeah,
And you're asking for the board to to agree to a not exceed of 800,000? Even though I
800,000.
see the quote, it's roughly 700,000, so that gives us 100,000 of
A
leeway.
contingency, yes.
Contingency.
That also includes the inspection fees of 49,000
Oh,
or
okay.
48,600.
All right, okay, all right.
So what was the cumulative timeline that, getting the parts and doing the labor and all that? What's the estimated completion date?
We estimate end of March. They said to get the pipe around 6 weeks and then 20 days for the installation. 20 working days, so that's a month. It's kind of close. We think the 6 weeks to get the pipe is a little long. We think they could get it quicker than that.
So if this didn't go as smoothly as we're anticipating, and we now got into the higher water demand period of, I guess that's maybe happens in May, June timeframe as we start to need this water.
We would use an arsenic plant
Okay.
on standby, yeah.
Wells 9 and 10 would become available at that
Is an option to tap into the Navy? Because that's south of where this damage is, isn't it?
We shouldn't need to.
Yeah.
But that might be an option if it became an emergency issue. Maybe.
I don't know how comfortable we'd feel with that.
I think the valve is on the other side, where we get the water from the Navy, so I'll have to revisit it, but I think we're on the wrong side in order to get water from the Navy, but I'd have to look at it.
Would you look at that, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've tried to test that the last few years and
Yeah, we've had
haven't
problems, I
been
know.
successful, yeah.
Yeah.
I see that the first valve is in stock, the second valve, 60 weeks?
We
What's
have
that?
both valves.
You have both,
We have
okay.
purchased those separately.
Okay, all
Yes.
right.
I'll make a motion to approve the 800,000 for the emergency water line repair. And
approve the notice of exemption.
Yeah, there is a notice of exemption that goes along with this as an emergency repair under CEQA.
And would be pulling this money from the emergency reserve.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Take it to the public. Do we have any public comments or questions? Okay, I'll call for a vote.
No.
You can't vote.
Looks like the motion passes unanimously. Thank you for the
Thank you.
consult. And I'm glad that this is looking more promising than it did a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that was good news. Thank you. Item number C, 7 Charlie, status of the interim general manager position.
I'll handle that. Briefly stated, as you can see, Mr. DeZiba is not sitting next to me tonight. And as you all know, Don retired effective December 31st. And he had all of his paperwork in, and he did not want to change that. Based on that fact, and he's a CalPERS, there's a requirement that once you retire, you're not supposed to work for 180 days. There are exceptions. Filling the needs of the general manager is one of those. So we've requested an exception to the 180 days. And then the other provision is that we would hire Don as an interim general manager or as a retired annuitant, which makes him subject to certain rules subject to CalPERS. We discussed all this at the December 21st special board meeting. And we've submitted the documents to CalPERS, and it's my expectation and hope that we'll have Don under contract under those terms by the end of the week. I'm sorry. I'm just waiting for a confirmation via email from CalPERS. I'll answer any questions. That's all I have.
Are there any questions from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Okay, seeing none. Item D, I think I already went through this earlier. Award of contract for demolition and construction of concrete structures. I got it at the right time this time.
All right. So we went out to bid. There is a memo in your board packet. We did get 3 bids. These are for things like lowering valve cans for city paving work. And then once that's done, you have to go back, you have to raise the valve cans. Sometimes we need sidewalk work, sometimes we need cross gutter work, things like that. So the bid sheets are set up as like an each. So how much would you charge us to do, each valve can for this or that or the other? So the amount you see in front of you is not necessarily a total amount of what we'll spend, but it's a accumulation of each of these individual line items. So the low bidder was CLC Construction. There were some mathematical errors in the other 2 bids that we did receive, but what is listed there are the corrected amounts. I'm not quite sure why there was such a discrepancy in one of the bids, and I did email them and make sure that there was a clarification of how this was being bid, and I didn't get a response, so I think that is the bid that they submitted. So we are recommending going with CLC Construction. They have done work for us before in the past, and they have the correct licensing. And that's it. And there's definitely work that's coming up real quick that's going to need to be done. So
That's quite a spread of bid amounts there.
yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, the CLC Construction bid is not a whole lot more than it was 5 years ago.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay, so they've done similar work for us. And,
Yes.
And you've worked with them before, you said. So.
Yes, they're very aware of how we do things.
That. Okay. That's all I got.
No.
I'll make a motion that we award the contract for demolition and construction as recommended by the staff to CLC Construction.
Second.
Any comments from the public? Okay. Show that the voting results are unanimous and the contract has been approved. Item 7E, Creeker and Stewart Engineering Consultants, the fee schedule. Is that Renee? Who's got the fee structure?
It is in the packet. I have to say, I haven't gone through it and looked at it. Chuck, I know, is on the line, and I think he told me it was around a 6%
It looks like the average
increase than it was from last year. But if you have any specific questions about any of the fees, Chuck is available.
It seems in line with
Yeah.
current inflation
With
rates.
inflation,
So I don't
correct.
have an issue with it.
I could just say, Chuck, what are you thinking? I'm just kidding.
I got chuckle out of
You
him.
are listening. I want to make sure you were there. Yeah.
Make him,
I'm here.
make him ask a more specific question, Chuck.
No, I just did the average at 6%, and I don't think that's out of line with what's happened this last year in terms of costs of doing business and everything else, especially in California. So I don't see anything out of line with this. It's something that we all got to come to terms with. Everybody's raising prices. It's going to happen. Yes, they are. That's all I got to say.
Any other board comments? Okay, I'm okay with it as well. Comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the Krieger and Stewart Engineering Consultants 2023 fee schedule as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, please vote.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Looks like we have a unanimous opinion, Chuck. I just won't share what it is. Motion passes.
Only on audio too, darn.
Motion passes.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
I'll sign off now. Thank you.
Okay, 7, Frank, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority update. And I assume that's still in your court, or,
Stan's gonna do it tonight and I get it next month.
okay.
Okay, this is my last report to the group. So in any event, the last GA meeting was December 14th, and the next GA meeting is January 11th. That's Wednesday of this week, just 2 days from now. And Chuck's got 2 days to come up to speed. Regarding the imported water project, the purchase of the 750 acre feet of Table A entitlement is continuing. I'm assuming the GA is continuing to look for a loan agent. I haven't got an update for several months how that's going, but I can't imagine that they're not looking. The pipeline alignment study, which is being paid for by the state grant, is continuing. There were 4 related items before the GA board at the meeting. That was, number 1 was the preferred alignment. I think you're probably aware there's an east, central, and a west alignment. The second item was the release of the RFP for CEQA and NEPA documents. And the third was the release of an RFP for the right-of-way services. And 4 was release of the RFP for design services. Should note that the preferred alignment was for the center alignment, although it's not a done deal. It is primarily for purposes of minimizing the cost of the contracts for doing these follow-on 3 contractual efforts. So it still could change. I did vote for all 4 of those things. Moving on to the recycled water project, the original recycled water project study was to be released December 2022. That is last month. There were some delays, and now they're expecting it to be released in January of 2023, this month. The 2022 budget was amended at the last meeting. I noticed no controversial items being proposed as amendments, and I did vote for the amendment. They were mostly just due to new grant money coming in that they never included in the budget, but they were spending it, so they had to make everything be an apples for apples comparison there. The capital renewal, contract renewal for Capital Core Group was on the agenda. I voted for that renewal. I believe that Capital Corps is doing a very good job in lobbying for the GA. The contract renewal for regional government services was also on the agenda. However, there was still no not to exceed contract limit. I voted against it. Basically, this is a case of the group in charge of tracking spending having no limit put on their spending, and I don't think it's appropriate. But I didn't get any insults over the intercom this year, so they might have learned something. The auditor requested, next item, auditor requested an audit fee increase. That was on the agenda, and that request was passed. No audit was actually presented, but the general manager does expect to have that released soon. The thing that we need to be watching is how they handle the replenishment fee. That's going to be the primary issue. That was the thing that has held it up and the reason for the increased costs. And of course, I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with the fact that we're providing the funding on a what's the term? I can't think of it right now. Under protest. Under protest, thank you. I knew there was a word there. The Round 2 Sigma implementation grant project list was approved, and it did include a couple inputs from us, but I think they were very low on the priority list. Next topic. The 2 well owners have initiated applications for well impact funding. One of those applications has been completed. Stetson has completed the application review and is discussing that review with the applicant. Other than the fact that that is going on, no information has been given to the GA board, or at least I haven't gotten any information. Next item, the PAC provided their proposed implementation phase modification to the communication and engagement plan to the GA at the October meeting. That was several months ago. It is now up to the GA to accept and implement those modifications. There have been no action with regard to that, and one of the things that's going to be interesting to see what's happening is the PAC actually included in their update the suggestion that we have a real schedule that is tied to a real budget. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they act on that. And by the way, that is one of the major corrective actions that was included in the DWR review. On financial activities, the new financial system for the GA has been implemented. The GA's general manager promised to provide an overview of the new financial system soon to the GA board. It is supposed to have more capability than the older system, but no details on exactly what those capabilities are or how they're going to be used has been provided to date. In terms of project activities and concerns, the water year 2022 GA annual report is out. I think most of the board is privy to that. It's been sent to the TAC. I assume they're reviewing it. Comments are back due to Stetson by January 13th, which is this Friday. My review of the document indicates that the GA continues to misinterpret the requirements for the annual report. In particular, the one thing that I've been trying to follow is that you do not understand that the change to groundwater and storage measurement pertains to the entire aquifer. Right now, they're basically covering about half of the aquifer in their measurement. So, you know, I have no idea what they're doing. It'll be interesting to see if DWR actually reviews this annual report, what they have to say. And I wasn't able to give a thorough review of the whole report, quite frankly. Just didn't have time. But I have submitted my comments, and I'm assuming somebody from the Water District will be providing comments as well. As you probably recall, there are 19 corrective actions that have been addressed. that need to be addressed in the 2025 GSP updates that came out of the DWR review. I've been trying to get a status on how those are coming. And of course, one of those is the update to the communication and engagement plan. But quite frankly, haven't gotten any status on where that is. Although we know that the one, I think maybe number one, was that communication engagement plan update, and they haven't acted on it. Now, if you look at the back of that review, there's a summary that actually takes the 19 corrective actions and summarizes them into classes of actions, and I believe there are 7 of those, which is what Stetson normally refers to. And I am a little concerned that some of the 19 that were called out by DWR might just slip through the crack if we don't get Stetson to actually address the 19 that are actually called out in the body of the review. So that is it, and I'd be glad to answer any questions or listen to any comments.
Open it to the board for questions.
Was there any update on the outreach and technical services from Cal Rural Water and Association and WaterWise? In other words, how's that program going where they were assisting people in putting in water-saving devices and leak detection in districts?
I think there was an update, yes.
Okay.
I would consider that not
I just
fairly
wondered
non-controversial.
I just wondered how successful that whole program was.
You know, I think they had trouble getting some participation along the line.
Yeah.
And they had excess money, and so they kept changing things, and I think they were trying to do, you know, as much as they could. They had money to do more, but I think probably just for some reason, you know, the message isn't getting out there.
Just-
Kind of like
I was thinking the same.
was saying
Yeah.
is, you know, it's not an easy nut to crack.
Yeah.
They're doing their best,
Okay,
I think.
thank you.
That's not something I would be critical of the GA for.
I just wondered how it was going is all. Thank you.
About half.
Director Griffin. Okay. Director Sandeman.
Stan, I want to thank you for your hard work sitting on the Groundwater Authority Board. You've been extremely diligent, and I appreciate your reports. They're very succinct and accurate. Thank you.
Thank you.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking that was a hard duty that you conducted, and you did it honorably for us and the community.
Yeah, again, thank you for your time on that board. I know it's difficult sometimes. I think you did a good job, and your reports are definitely keep us well informed. Thank you.
And good luck, Chuck.
Thank you, Stan. I'm gonna need your help, I'm sure, because you did a great job, so.
Okay, item G, comprehensive adjudication.
Public
Oh,
comment.
sorry, public comments, sorry. On the GA.
Judy Decker again. First of all, while he's looking right at me, and you're going to be there on Wednesday, right, Chuck?
I'm gonna be there.
All right. These 2 applications for well mitigation. One of them is from a small mutual community well group that is off of Strucker on Stark Street. The other one is the irrigation well for Heritage Village. The documentation that was passed by the GA board clearly states that mitigation will be for domestic wells. An irrigation well is not a domestic well. And I wanted to remind you of that. As far as your comment, Ron, the GA staff in the form of Stetson tried quite diligently to engage members of DAC communities, and I think maybe they had 1 or 2 responses, and that program, I believe, has ended. And it goes back to the old saying, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So again, it's distrust of government with regards to water. The C&E plan, I am, as a member of PAC, actually I'm vice president, I think. A subcommittee of the PAC worked diligently on recreating a communications and engagement plan. It was given, I believe, in October or November to the board, the GA board. They accepted it and have thus far done little with it. I hope that you can encourage the GA board to present a clear budget and schedule. And that would include items on the communication and engagement plan. Thank you.
Judy, is that
Thank you,
plan
Ms.
on their website? Do you know? Did they publish that?
It should be.
Okay, I'll look for it.
And in that regard, there seemed to be some effort in combining the IWVGSP website, which is a Stetson website. And if you don't know about that and haven't gone to it, you should, because that's where all the technical reports are. They seem to be combining at least part of that with the IWVGA website. And last time I looked, it was kind of confusing, but that was a while ago.
Thank you, Ms. Decker. Are there other questions from the public or comments?
Yes, Mike Neal again. Surprise, surprise, the GA decided that the way they need to deal with recycled water was exactly how the water district decided it should be done months and months ago. But of course, they duplicated the effort and spent lots of money and came up with the same conclusion the water district had already figured out. So, well, no big deal. It just gets us, we just had to pay more fees to fund all that, right? Well, one thing that needs to be considered with the water there, that recycled water plant. That water, I think every drop of it, literally, is pumped by the water district, paid for by water district customers, goes over to the water treatment plant. And at that point, for some strange reason, this is endemic over the years, the city seems to think that now they're a separate living being from the citizens of this valley who paid for the water that flow into that water plant. And they own the water. So you can guarantee you, without being pushed hard, they're going to turn around and try to charge for the water coming out of the recycled water plant. Well, it's our water. We paid to pump it out of the ground. We pay the taxes for the sewer system that makes it flow over to the sewer plant. Whatever comes out of that recycled water plant ought to just be brought back into the system for use, and the citizens should not have to be made to pay a second time all over through the GA or however they rig it up to get use of that water. It's our water, and they ought to just take care of recycling it with the tax monies that we pay and get it back into the ground. Apparently, the plan is put in an injection well. So that's going to be a fight, and I think the district's possibly the only entity that's going to be willing and able to take on that fight and push for that. But that's what ought to happen. Thanks.
I would encourage, if you haven't already, Mike, I would encourage that you deliver that message also to the city council and to the groundwater authority meeting this week. Are there other questions or comments on groundwater authority? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item G, the comprehensive adjudication, much weighted discussion.
Yes, there were a number of hearings that were held in December on the adjudication and the related matters. I'll keep my conversation to the adjudication and let the groundwater authority comment on their cases. We're still waiting for the Judicial Council to officially appoint Judge Claster as the judge for the adjudication, and then presumably for all of the related cases. Hasn't quite happened yet, but that hasn't slowed down any decisions that he's willing to make at this time. The court continued the initial filing fee waiver of $1,000 through February 28th, 2023. That might be the last one that may be granted because we're getting close to becoming at issue, which we'll discuss in a bit. During the hearing on December 2nd, there was some discussion about potentially setting a phase one trial down the future, but all parties agreed that until we were able to serve everybody and bring the case at issue, that was premature. And it's also important that the case become at issue because that reinforces to the Navy that this is in fact a comprehensive adjudication, which is what's required under the McCarran Act. In light of the fact that there were not at issue as of the date of December 2nd, a further case management conference was set for March 17th, 2023 at 1:30 in the afternoon. Approximately a week later, on December 9th, there was a hearing brought on a motion by the Water District, motion for leave to use alternative methods to complete service. So this is literally coming close to the conclusion of our efforts on serving everybody. The certified mailings concluded in June of 2022. That's when we had sent out the last mailers. And the comprehensive adjudication was filed in June of 2021. And virtually from the time we filed the comprehensive adjudication, there was some action that was being taken to try to move this along, to send the mailers out and everything like that. So out of the 19,000 plus mailers, we received confirmation that there may not have been good service on about 300,000 or 400,000 of them, 3,000 or 4,000 of them. Sorry about that. And when that happens, you are generally required to go physically post a notice of the adjudication on the parcel. Most of these are vacant desert parcels. We didn't think that was a prudent way to go. Plus, that's a lot of signs. So we went to court, and the court agreed that in lieu of posting posting the notices on the properties, that the district will be able to take 3 additional actions. And once those actions are over, then we will be considered at issue. And we've already started targeted digital ads online beginning January 5th. It'll run for 4 consecutive weeks through the week of February 2nd, 2023. So we're doing targeted digital ads, and those will be done with the assistance of Providence. The second one is to, once again, print notices in the paper. These are required to be printed outside the legal notices, and were published in the Daily Independent, San Bernardino County Sun, and the Inyo Register. And starting during the week of January 1st, January 9th, 23, they'll run once a week for 4 consecutive weeks. And then the final thing is that we were to send out a mailer with the district's billing, but because of the way the district's billing was, I think we inserted a message on there or something like that on the bill.
We haven't yet. I think
About
Providence was
to
putting something together.
during the next billing cycle. So those are the 3 further steps that we're either about to take or we've already started taking. So by February, we should tell the court that we've done everything that we are required to do. And so those people that are not still, familiar with the lawsuit or anything, this is going to start to proceed much quicker than it did in 2022, well in 2023, with things that are going up. The other one, when we filed the complaint, real quick, we named 90 pumpers that we knew of in the basin. Those pumpers were generally identified through GA records that had been presented to the GA. Of those 90, we've served 87 of them. And the final remaining 3, we're in the process of doing another publication similar to what we had to do for the larger number, the 19,000 mailers. So that's going to start in January as well, and that goes another 4 weeks. And then all other service requirements under the comprehensive adjudication have been completed. And to date, there have been over 200 answers filed by large and small pumpers. And I should say that this has been a process that's going on for over a year to do this. And it was led by a couple people primarily, and that would be Emily Medueno, who is Doug Everett's partner. She was the one doing all the hard work, and then from our standpoint, it was Lauren. So thanks, Lauren. This is a big deal. It's a good thing. It allows us to move forward and focus our time and effort on more productive matters. So that's all I have on the status. Again, March 17th, next case management conference, and I'll advise you further at that time.
I have a couple of comments. I don't know if it's too late for these or not, but one of the very common communication portals in the community out in the Inyakern area is the Ace Hardware store. Nearly everybody that lives north of Brown, and many of us on this side of the valley, patron that facility on a regular basis, and that might be a place that we could put a flyer with this information that would go in the newspaper to try to reach some of the folks that maybe don't have access to the internet and the newspaper?
We can certainly do more than we're required to do. So Lauren would be the one that would pick out the best flyer for Ace Hardware. So I would defer to Lauren on that.
I think that would touch a comment made by Judy and Dawn earlier, that a lot of their constituents are from that community. So.
We continue to try to reach as many people as possible, but it's not an easy task.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It didn't come as a critic. It was more as a suggestion of how we might do this better. The other is the news review. I didn't hear you mention that newspaper. That's also one that's, do you have news review on the list?
Not on this one here. But you're only required to do one paper of general circulation in one area, so we already had to do 3. So again, we're not doubling up or anything.
Right.
Jim, can you tell me, has the judge that we have right now been officially blessed for the adjudication?
No, but the judge did. At the last hearing, Doug was instructed for the water district to lead the way, and we sent the paperwork up there, and then it somehow got lost or whatever. So the judge said that he would also directly petition the Judicial Council, and I believe Doug is assisting along that way. So we're not there, but we've actually got the judge asking with us now, Stan.
Okay, but we don't anticipate an issue, right?
No, I mean, all of the parties are in agreement that this is a judge not only for the adjudication, but for the other related matters as well, I believe.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Other director questions?
Yes, is Emily going to send out information about how to watch the March 17th? I know I got information from last time, but just click on it and I can go right to the hearing.
I'll confirm, but I'm pretty sure the information doesn't change.
Okay. All right.
It's just a general public portal, but we'll definitely send the information out for the board and whoever wants to see it.
Yeah, the easiest way to get to usually in her email is just click right on that and it takes you right to it.
Right, and then we'll post the info, I assume, on the website at that time as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, directors. Comments from the public on the comprehensive adjudication?
Yes, I believe it would be worth the water district spending the money to put a full-paid a full-page ad maybe more than once in the swap sheet. And I'm sure if you talk to Peggy about it, you will be able to get either the front or the back page. There are, I hear that you're putting it in the San Bernardino Sun and the Eno Register. I'm not sure how many people that have wells in this valley actually read either of those newspapers. But like Mallory said, people do read the bulletin board at Ace Hardware. It has been brought up before at various meetings. But another thing they read, Jim, is called the swap sheet. It's an ad thing that comes out every Thursday. And a lot of people who don't get the newspaper do get that. And so I believe it would be worth your money to do that. And then you can say that you advertised and notified everywhere that there was. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments? Just for the record again, state your name, please.
Yes, Mike Neal. I would add to what Ms. Dicker said, is respect to, if you're gonna put a notice at Ace Hardware, it's real easy to go about half a block down the street and go to the Classic Burger. They've got a bulletin board that people put up notices about stuff, and, you know, some people may go to Ace Hardware, not go to Classic Burger, or vice versa. So it's real easy, just go ahead and do that while you're at it, so just let you know. You know, I second again, using the news review, there's probably a you know, I'll call a cadre of population here that get the news review and read the news review, and like myself, don't want anything to do with the Daily Independent. So they don't see that. It's just in the Daily Independent. Cost probably isn't a factor, so you know, but I will mention that it's a lot less expensive to advertise in the news review than the Daily Independent. So thinking out a half-page ad or something that's very noticeable so people can see it, you know, notice it, you know. I think the point is to use all avenues of communication so people, as many people as possible, can know about it. You know, you're trying to get obviously some percentage that you can verify have been noticed, apparently. So, you know, use everything available.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody on the phone? Chris? Nobody on the phone? Okay. We'll go on to item number H, General Manager and Staff Update.
Okay.
Whoever that is.
I will update you as much as I can.
Ms. Renee, thank you.
We will start with the safety record. Unfortunately, it is at 5 calendar days right now, without a recordable injury.
Hey.
I know, we had made it to over 600, but we're at 5. Yeah.
Was the incident severe or?
It was not severe. The employee's okay, and we'll return to light duty tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Okay, on to production. The amount of water that we pumped last month, December, 341.6 acre feet. Consumption, 335 acre feet. I did submit the report to the State Water Resources Control Board last Thursday, and we were down 12.3% compared to 2013, which is the required year that we're supposed to report on. But compared to last year, we were up 2.3%. We were at 88.8 residential gallons per capita per day for December. I do not have the number of new connections from last month, so next month we'll have to report December and January.
Okay.
We did have some, I do know. Public outreach, I didn't get anything from Dawn about that. I don't know because of the holidays, how they, you know, are in December, whether there were any community collaborative meetings or anything. Let's see. We do continue, obviously, as Jim said, work with Providence on outreach. Specifically, they have been starting last week pushing on info on the adjudication and where you can get more information. They're also still putting out info on signing up to WaterSmart and also on how to read the charges on your bill, what each charge means and what the tiers currently are for. Probably in preparation for our cost of service study, which of course the Prop 218 notice went out last week. If you haven't received one yet, you will get one soon. And that is all I have. I don't have access to WaterSmart to give you information on, how many customers we have and all that kind of stuff. So
All right. Thank you for the abbreviated report.
you're welcome.
I appreciate you standing in on that. So item 3, the annual board workshop. We have a draft agenda. We're still awaiting comments from the board directors. I think on the
Yes.
17th is the due date.
17th, yes.
I
It's
see
just a
some
few
there.
items so far.
I see a few have been rolling in. Thank you for those who have already done that. If the rest of you please get those in, and then I'll be making a down selection of those great ideas to what we think we can get done in the 3 hours we have scheduled for the meeting on the 24th. Item number 4, well rehabilitation.
For well 31, the equipment was ordered, and according to my contact there last week, some of the items have started rolling in. So they expect to mobilize the last week of this month to get that installed and get that well ready for when we can pump it.
Booster stations and tanks.
Put my glasses back on. All right, so at the, let's see, at the gateway tank, okay, maybe I'll go with the pictures. That is a picture of the booster station. Last week, they poured the concrete slabs around the outside of the booster station. They've also installed piping, that is not from the booster station, so just hold on. They've also installed piping across Javis, and they've done the pressure testing of that piping along with electrical conduit. That is from the college tank site. They did have the changeover connection while the college was on their Christmas break. So there was nobody at the college when that tank had to be taken offline, and that all went smoothly. So that's the connection that you see there. And right now they're working on grading. I think you can go to the next one. They've started doing the prep, the grading and the over excavation, and they'll be putting that back and then doing the ring wall for the new tank. They expect to start the erection of the college tank the first week of February. And at the C-Zone tank site, I don't think there's any more pictures. That's probably it, because I don't think I had any. Oh, that's inlet outlet piping at the gateway tank, the new piping. C-Zone, they've been coating and painting the interior. So they should be getting that finished now with the rainy weather we've had. It's going to put off finishing the painting of the outside of that tank. Yep. That should be it for that.
Through December of 2022, we have actual revenues of 8.2 million versus the budget of 8.6 million. So we're falling short about 400,000. Expenditures, we're at 9 million compared to a budget of 9.14 million. So we're 123,000 below budget there. So you see our net of about negative 800,000 is 300,000 below budget. So this is something we got to keep an eye on. This is why we did the cost of service study, and that'll help us when that finally goes into effect. Capital expenditures to date, 2.7 million. Of that, 2 million went towards COP funded projects, and we have debt service principal of 555,000. And as Renee did mention, the notices for the Prop 218 went out last week. Some of you have probably already received them. If you haven't, you'll be getting them shortly.
We heard about a new bill that we're going to be facing regarding the 30-inch pipeline. Just for the community's comfort, can you address the amount we have in reserve to cover things like that?
Right. For the emergency reserve, we currently have a balance of 3.1 million. So that 800,000 will be coming from there.
Okay, thank you. How about solar production time?
So for the fiscal year, once again, well, for December, we had actual savings of 33,695, which came in just below the guarantee of 33,826. You see fiscal year to date, 276,900 savings. So a little below the guarantee. As far as the phase 2, which is the well 35 site, we had guaranteed savings of 1,310, but came in at $669. We did talk to NG, and they said it wasn't any problems out there. It's a low time of the month, I guess, or the year, so we're generating less.
They said that the angle of the sun cast shadows on the other panels behind it,
Yeah.
so it wasn't producing as much.
But they anticipate, at least on a yearly basis, of meeting or beating that guarantee.
But we've been seeing a lot of cloudy days
Yeah.
ever since sort of the end of November, December, now, so I can understand that.
Okay, conservation?
For the calendar year, so we got a full calendar year here for 2022. We had 106 water waste reports received, 106 contacts made, 6 formal warnings, and 0 penalties issued.
Okay, thank you. Item 9, I'm not sure how this is different from our previous discussion, but Indian Kern Road transmission line,
The board just approved.
right?
You keep those updated right away, don't you?
We did.
Well,
Yeah, that was quick. Arsenic treatment facilities.
So Plant 2 still remains offline in somewhat of a standby mode in case of emergencies. It is with the current temperatures only able to run during the day. So, but that's where it is right now. Plant 1 is still has all the media excavated from the filter vessels, and staff has been going in to see if replacing the under drains is something that we can do in-house and try to save the money. There is a fear of damaging the actual structure itself and removing the current under drain system. So we're assessing if we can or cannot do the work in-house and the possibilities of utilizing the contractor to perform the task.
Okay. When do we expect to be ready to make a recommendation which way to move forward?
By the next board meeting.
Okay. Thank you. And item 11, operations.
For the month of December, there were 5 repairs and 13 replacements. NODAs did not run, leaving our grand total at 8,597,835 gallons of water saved. And the no valves returned, and leaving our grand total for the year at 757. On your screen, I gave you the GIS representation of all the maintenance that was done throughout the system for 2022, so you can see everywhere we've been. The different pins, blue is a service lateral replacement, red is a temporary repair or a repair in progress, yellow is a permanent repair, purple is a fire hydrant, and on the next one over is a zoomed in so you can kind of see the different pin colors. But that's what we see when we go in the GIS system.
So all the reds were mostly like emergency leaks and things that had been repaired.
Something that
Yeah.
it could have been that we acted on at the end of December, and it still remains outstanding.
But it's not that many, that's what I'm
No.
commenting on, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. That's kind of a neat chart. Okay, item number 8, board comments and future agenda items. Vice President Kaczynski.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. President. Welcome to a new year. I have a lot to look forward to, a lot's going on. Again, I appreciate the staff's work, and Lauren, you're a trooper tonight. Thank you so much. And that's all I have, thank you.
Director Zaineman.
Nothing.
Director Wetruba?
Nothing here.
Okay, I too want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. It's great to have some moisture in the valley. The dust is under control. The mountains have got snow on them. Hope it continues, and maybe they'll make our challenges in the future a little bit easier. Anyway, look forward to those comments regarding the board workshop, and I guess we'll see you there before I see you anywhere else. So we'll conclude the meeting at 7:14.